right, welcome back. It's the GDM podcast. My name is Samuel Fisher. I am the co-founder of Green Dispensary Marketing. And we've been working on this new fun project in 2025, trying to duplicate the experience that you get at B2B cannabis conferences virtually. And so we've been starting this new thing called these loyalty panels, these digital panels, And today we have a new loyalty panel. And so we are going to be talking about branding, dispensary operations, and lots of fun things. And I'm really excited because I have three experts on these topics. And so I'm really excited to introduce them. Let's start off with Steph Vrona. She is the founder of HighDef Studios, and she's going to be discussing dispensary operations and how you can optimize them for your loyalty program. Do you want to introduce yourself really quick, Steph?
Hi guys, I'm Steph Vrona. As Sam said, I run HighDef Studio in my second year of business. Yay. I run a solo marketing operations agency. We specialize really in lifecycle and retention marketing for cannabis dispensaries, but there's a lot other stuff that we could help with on the marketing operations side for dispos.
Yeah, absolutely. And we actually just recently talked with Steph on our podcast. I was really excited to talk with her. Have her back. She's been really great, really valuable, giving lots of information. Really excited to learn more from her. Up next, we got Lisa Williams. She's the founder of TOKE Agency, and she's going to be talking with us today about branding and how dispensary branding can have a huge impact on your loyalty program. Do you want to introduce yourself really quick, Lisa?
Yes, thank you, Samuel. I'm Lisa Williams. I am the founder of the TOKE Agency, and we help dispensaries with their social media from soup to nuts, as far as creating the design, creating the content, posting, scheduling, and engaging. But more importantly, we help them with their loyalty program and their retention. So we create all their communication for them. We help them with strategy and figuring out the best way to communicate with their customers to help bring them back for more.
Yeah, thank you, Lisa. Open to also further collaborate with you. Maybe have your own podcast in the future here. Finally,
Would love that.
Yeah, awesome. Finally, we have Sandra Bergman. She is the founder of ESBE Marketing, and she's going to be talking with us today about customer communications and touchpoints and how dispensaries can optimize them for their loyalty program. Can you introduce yourself real quick, Sandra?
Yeah, thanks, Samuel, for having us. This is a power group right here. I love this. I'm so excited. Let's see. So I work with dispensaries around the U.S. I'm based in Colorado, got my start with MSOs here. And now I am laser focused on customer retention and loyalty. I'm working with clients in about 14 states. We do everything from designing loyalty programs to optimizing and setup of Alpine IQ to the execution of lifecycle and lifestyle communication programs for dispensaries.
Awesome. Well, very excited to talk with all three of you ladies. I think this is going to be very informative for all of us, and I think anybody listening to this is going to come away with lots of information that they can take home and maybe also hire one of us to help implement some solutions. And so I wanted to go ahead and start off with our moderated discussion. So we have a really strict hour, and so we're going to be really strict on time. And so I'm going to give you guys each 15 minutes. And we're going to go ahead and start off with Sandra Bergman in ESBE Marketing. And so we're going to be talking about communications and touch points. I've got some questions for you. I'm going to go ahead and press the timer here in a second here. But let's start off with this one. What are the critical communication touch points that convert one-time customers into repeat visitors? And go.
Okay. Well, so one-time customers, so we all know that the majority of folks don't return after a visit to a dispensary. So it's really important to hook them early. What I see a lot of dispensaries doing is one welcome message, which is lovely. That's better than no welcome messages. What I strive to do is to do a series of welcome messages that are not based necessarily on a visit, but are just timed. And they don't all offer some kind of discount or offer or incentive. A lot of them are just leaning into a dispensary's why. Why should people shop with you? What makes you unique? What makes people choose you? I think dispensary owners often just assume that people know why they should shop with them, and they don't. We need to tell them. So a strong welcome series. The other thing I like to do along with that is a strong visit series. So going past the 1, 2, 3 visit that you often see, and going much deeper than that into, 5, 8, 10. I've even done some for the 19th visit. That I think is really important to keep people engaged and keep reminding them why they should shop with you and how you're different and unique. And it's also a good opportunity to educate them on different things. And that could be anything. That could be a customer of the month, or an employee of the month, or terpenes, or a new product drop. It can be a lot of different things. The other thing I like to do that I've seen really good results with is point notifications. So letting people know when they have rewards to use. I saw a stat that the average American belongs to something like 16.8 loyalty programs. And half the time I can't remember where I put my glasses. So I'm certainly not going to remember all the loyalty programs. And usually you have no idea how many points you have unless you go seek it out. So I try to keep that front and center for dispensary customers so they always know, and that tends to drive visits. So, and lastly, and it's not, it's kind of on the tail end, but is making sure that you are recovering any lapsed shoppers. So I like to start my win back campaigns early, like a 14 to 20 day or 30 day period. There's no offer. It's just, hey, we haven't seen you in a while. We kind of miss your vibe. Here's what we have going on that you might be interested in. So those win back campaigns, the further away you get as far as when someone has lapsed, the more aggressive your offers need to be. But that early one, I have had really great success with driving visits. People are like, oh yeah, I remember I needed to go there for XYZ. I think I'm going to check it out. So those are the ones that I've seen. There's a whole host. There's a lot more than that, but I would say that those are some of the essential ones to implement.
Yeah, great information. Thank you for getting going on that. I've got a couple more questions for you if we have time. Let's go on to the next one. How can dispensaries personalize and segment their customer communication strategy across different channels? Okay,
so we're going to do all my questions all at once. Okay. Sorry, I thought we were going to go around the horn. All right, this works.
Oh, you got this whole 15 minutes. I'll shut up.
I know. Okay, awesome. So, some of the easiest is the lowest hanging fruit is the easiest to do first. And dispensaries oftentimes don't even have a marketing person. So talking about complex segmentation strategies really leaves a lot of people high and dry because they don't understand it. So when you're talking with dispensary owners, I think it's starting with the easiest thing to do, which is product affinity. What are people purchasing, and segmenting on that? So why would we send a flower offer to people who only purchase edibles? And there's a lot of cross-category promotion. Sales. People tend to buy in multiple categories, but there's in Alpine IQ in particular, there's a way to segment based on what someone most commonly purchases. So that I think is really useful. The frequency of purchase, I think, is another useful thing to segment on. And of course, the location that they shop at. So, tailoring promotions or activities or events or announcements that are centered on the location that they shop at. If I don't shop at that dispensary that's across town, I don't need to see events that's happening at that dispensary across town. Those are the big ones. I think there's a lot of segmentation you can get into also around demographics. So, just as an easy example, doing like a senior Saturday or a senior Sunday, and being able to segment on age for those types of promotions. And I mean, I think I would open it up to the other ladies here too, as far as what they've seen work in segmentation. But those, besides the where they are in their particular customer journey, that's obviously segmentation at the heart of it. But there's those other things you can segment on as well that are pretty successful, that are easy to do.
Yeah, I would also say, Sandra, that our customers want to feel valued and they want to feel like they're important. And when you're doing that segmentation, it's like, oh, you're speaking to me personally. And that's how you're making them feel with that customer segmentation. I mean, they're, like you said, you don't want to send flour to somebody who buys gummies, or you don't want to send vapes to somebody who buys flour or whatever. But there's so many ways to really personalize those messages. And to your point, if you don't have a marketing person to really dive into the metrics and to look at all of this, it's really challenging for, a dispensary owner, operator, general manager, the bud tender.
Did you want to chime in too, Steph?
So they tend to do their segmenting. If you don't have a marketing person, I've noticed it's more based on inventory and what's available. Well, we have a surplus of vapes this week, so we need you to send vapes. Or we have this brand that really wants us to push things, so go ahead and push that this week. Or whatever's being incentivized. We kind of forget that it's the end consumer that spends the money.
Yeah. And the other thing I guess maybe the pushback that I get about segmentation from dispensaries is, well, the more I send, the more I get, right? The more sales, the more traffic. And what you're missing about that is you're also getting more unsubscribes, and you're getting people that feel more disconnected and just automatically push the delete button, even if they don't unsubscribe. So to Lisa's point about forming a connection with people, that's what that segmentation does. And it's maybe not that you're sending less as a whole, but you're sending in smaller increments, right? To more specific groups than sending something en masse.
I always like to use the Cheers analogy, like Norm walks into Cheers. I'm dating myself, but everybody knows your name, right? And that's how you want to feel. This is the internet way of, communicating, the digital way of communicating and making them feel like they're Norm on Cheers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We got 5 more minutes left. I'd love to kind of go into this last question and kind of take advantage of this extra time that we have. Sandra, what do you think, what emerging technologies do you see in 2025 that can help dispensaries personalize their customer interactions, improve their loyalty program, all those fun things? What would you say?
Yeah. Well, I think the obvious is AI. And, where I would like to see AI go with loyalty in cannabis, and I don't think we're going to get there in 2025, but is that predictive modeling. So just like we see in our mainstream shopping, Sandra, you bought this, I think you might like this, or anticipating when someone needs to re-up their stash, right? So it's that being able to think about what someone needs before they know they need it, or before they think about that they need it. That happens in mainstream industries all over the place. So that would be awesome. Again, I don't know that the tech is going to get there. I always like to say that cannabis tech in any other industry is like version 1.0, right? Like we're just behind in the sophistication of most of the tech that we work with. everything from point of sale systems to payment systems to our loyalty and communication systems. So we're getting there, and we have some great players in the space. And I know they're looking at AI, and they're incorporating AI into some of their tools already, typically in a messaging way or graphics. But I would like to see it more about that predicting what people want before they know they want it. The other thing I think about is apps. So getting more sophisticated with the app offerings, right? There's some really basic app offerings that look all the same and don't really take advantage of an app experience. You're basically pushed out to the web for shopping and that sort of thing. So I think there's some good apps out there that do a really good job of bringing loyalty into the shopping experience and making it part of the interaction from the get-go. And it's not just kind of something off to the side. So AI, apps, I'm not sure if I've thought beyond those two. I think those, in my mind, will have the biggest impact.
Yeah, and so we got a couple minutes here. I think the topic of AI and apps is a really good thing, good trends in 2025. One thing I noticed specifically after speaking with Brady Halls of Digital Awesome is the power of push notifications. And so a lot of times, people won't get their emails delivered, their texts delivered. If they have the app on their phone, they'll get the push notifications.
If they have the push notifications turned on.
Right.
Right. So,
Right.
Yeah, good
I mean,
point.
just like with text, you have to opt into it. Just like with email, you need to opt into that. So, and if you're anything like me, I'm probably the exception. I miss so many notifications. Like I'll have 19 notifications from one app, and I'm like, oh wow.
Yeah.
So I think there's a ton of power in that for sure, in the immediacy and the cost, right? Which is nothing other than what you're paying for the app. So 100% on push notifications. And Digitally Awesome is great. And I'd love to see, I don't know exactly how the metrics work with push apps. You can see opens, I think, and clicks. So just being able to track that. But I would say also in 2025, what we'll probably see more of is a focus on attribution. And, not just with loyalty, but with any marketing and how we're able to attribute efficacy to those different strategies and tactics.
Yeah. Thank you, Sandra, for all of this information. It's really enlightening for many of us that don't do loyalty programs as well as you ladies. And so let's go ahead and move gears a little bit here. And so, excuse me, our next panelist will be Lisa Williams. Once again, she's the founder of the TOKE Agency, and she is the branding lady. And so really excited to kind of get some more information on her, or on branding, on her as well. But let's go ahead and dive right into this. We got 15 minutes, Lisa. Let's start off with this question. How can cannabis dispensaries create memorable brand experiences that drive customer loyalty in 2025? Go.
Yeah. So thank you, Samuel. And I'm sure I'll play off a lot of what Sandra said as well. But, when you hit a website, when you hit their social media, when you walk into their store, when you interact with their bud tenders, those are all touch points that build loyalty and build recognition with a brand. And when a brand knows, or a dispensary or a brand, either one, I call them a brand, but it's a dispensary. When they know who they are and who their audience is and how they're speaking to them, how they're talking to them, how they're interacting with them, and how their audience likes to receive the communication, then you're able to create and build that loyalty. who's your segment audience? Are you really marketing to somebody who wants a recreational high? Are you marketing to the medicinal, older crowd? You have to really, and you could be marketing to all of them, but what's your main focus? Are you a rebel? Are you grungy? Are you, thinking outside the box? Are you clean? Do you want clean ingredients? You have to think of what your brand or your dispensary really wants to look like and feel like, because that is who you're going to attract. And that's how you're going to build loyalty. Because what's going to happen is whatever your brand, whatever your dispensary is, your customers are going to go, I like this person. I like the way they feel. I like the way they make me feel. And I want to come along for the ride. And I want to bring my friends as well. And so that's how you're going to build loyalty with a dispensary. We, about a year ago, we created a brand archetype quiz that's free for any dispensary to go take. It's a fun interactive quiz to kind of determine what your brand archetype is. For the TOKE Agency, for example, we're the girl next door. So, friendly, relatable, but it gives you all the attributes. And so that's a great start. Even if you don't have a marketing team, even if you don't know how you want to portray yourself out into the world, start with that. That's a great, starting place, and it's free.
Yeah, I think if we get the time, I'd like to kind of ask you about the difference between product branding and dispensary branding. But let's go on to the second question here. What new branding strategies in 2025 can help dispensaries stand out if they find their market's a little saturated? They got 5 MSOs in the same area, and what can we do? What would you say?
Yeah. And I'm sure that Sandra and Steph, I'm going to ask you to kind of chime in here, but because we all know this, is stay away from the discounts and get creative with your marketing campaigns. We had one of our dispensaries come to us and say their 12 days of Christmas, however you frame that up, didn't do as well this last year as it has in the past. You know why? Because every dispensary out there is doing the 12 days of Christmas. And you know what's happening to their phones, the customers' phones? It's blowing up with 12-day deals. So how can you think outside the box and be different? Give away an ornament. Have an experience where they come in and do, you might have a chef that incorporates some kind of cooking with cannabis, and you have your audience come in and learn how to do this. Create interactive experiences. We had one of our dispensaries, they have a back room at like a warehouse kind of thing. They turned it into a haunted house over Halloween. It was the coolest thing. It was like a great experience. And then not only did their customer base come, but they brought friends, because who doesn't want to go to a haunted house and be able to purchase, whatever they want to purchase, consume, whatever. And so I think you have to get really super creative and get away from the discount trap, and come up with, new, fresh ideas. We just literally banged out 50 ideas for our client. 50. Yep. So, I'm going to open this up because I know Sandra and Steph could probably chime in here, because this is such a great hot topic.
Yeah, well, maybe we can chime in on each other's for all three of you. Just kind of keep it fair. Go ahead, Steph.
Yeah. So can you say it a little louder, Lisa? Just a little bit louder. And I agree. And discounts are great, but you're absolutely right. It's like the same reason why I don't suggest sending on Fridays. Everybody's sending on a Friday. Why do you want to be one of the 10 people that show up in someone's phone? 12 days of Christmas? Yes, everyone's freaking doing it. I did a token treat for Halloween where we invited adults to come trick or treat, and the stuff on the tables was dedicated. That was really fun, and people loved it. Community events, agreed, the way to go.
Yeah. Sandra, I know you posted about this.
Oh my gosh. Yes. Yeah. The 12 days of holidays, or whatever you want to call it, I did that 5 years ago at the dispensary, and the performance was terrible. So besides everyone now doing it, it just doesn't work that well. And the thing about, the events that Steph and Lisa have talked about is those evoke an emotion in people, and they're an experience, and people remember those experiences, right? Like, you don't remember the great $1 gummy you got. You're
Right.
going to remember how whatever the dispensary, the event, the experience made you feel. And I think there's a huge opportunity to tie in with community. Dispensary marketing is hyper local. And so why not bring your community into that, right? And make them part of that. So y'all are spot on, and avoid there's just so many more creative ways. I think I don't want to diss on dispensary owners. They have so much on their plate. So they're just lucky to get any communication out, let alone, organize an event or, invite neighboring businesses, for caroling or whatever. So, I think they have a tough road ahead of them for sure with all that they have to do.
It helps your team too. Like your bartending team loves participating in those events. And when it's not just like, hey, we're having a really busy day, so you're going to be here for 13 hours and breaks are probably going to be like 5 minutes and tips are shared. No one's really excited about that. It's do a flea market in your parking lot, do a barbecue, bring them in on St. Patty's Day and get a giant blow up thing with dollar bills in it that are coupons. Like,
Right.
not very expensive options.
One of our dispensaries is delivering wings and paraphernalia, whatever they want. And I say C word on this podcast, so I'm going to avoid it.
You can use cuss words. It's okay.
Okay. So they're going to deliver cannabis and wings on Super Bowl Sunday to one winner. So how is that for building loyalty and building community? How awesome is that going to be when the dispensary owner walks into the Super Bowl party of whoever wins with wings and cannabis? I mean, brilliant. It's a brilliant idea. And then you team up with somebody who's in your community to help deliver those wings. So now you're partnering with another company, another business to help bring more eyeballs on your community. I mean, there's so many ways to think outside the box. Do a wake and bake where you have yoga in the morning and coffee, and you talk about the experience of cannabis with exercise or with yoga. I mean, there's so many educational things that you could do as well. You can bring an expert in to talk about the endocannabinoid system and how cannabis affects the cannabinoids within your body. I mean, there's ways to get around the discount trap. I'm not saying not to ever use discounts. A great time to use discounts is when you have stuff that you really need to push. Maybe you have excessive inventory. Maybe you have something that's expiring, and so you really want to push that. Use your discounts for that, but you build community to enhance your loyalty program.
It seems like
That's lifestyle marketing.
it seems everybody I talk to in loyalty marketing says the same thing about discounts, but it seems like we're also now throwing out the 12 days of Christmas. So anybody who's listening to that and think of that for next year, it's a no-go.
Be creative about it. Just
Yeah.
do the same 12 days of deals you did the last year and the year before and the year before and the year before. Mix it up. Partner with vendors. Get some swag in there. I don't know, man. An event. Go Christmas light viewing. There's so much stuff.
Something. And to your point, Steph, when you partner with vendors, ask them to match something that you're giving. Ask them to give away swag. Ask them to match on a discount where it's just that day. And if you're buying that particular product, you match the discount. I mean, there's so many ways to build those partnerships.
Lisa, what do you think with our 4 minutes that are remaining here? How could dispensaries use storytelling and cultural connection to kind of help build deeper loyalty in their loyalty programs?
Yeah, and I think we've all been touching on it just recently, is building that, using your community to tell your customers how you want them to feel. And like if your community they value recycling, do a recycling program or a project where you come on a Saturday morning. If they value charity events, host, some kind of charity event. But really, and then you get to use that content to tell everybody else, look what we've been doing, and you start to share. And then you're starting to build your brand story with all of these community touch points, with all of these events that you're doing. And so then your customer starts to feel like, oh, they really get me. I really like to continue to vibe with this particular dispensary. And that's how you're going to build that connection. Throwing discounts at them is training them to go discount shopping for the next discount. And if you always have 20% off, why? What's the point of having 20% off? Just make that your price. We
want to make less money.
Yeah, and you're devaluing your brand, and you're lowering your margins.
Yeah, great. With it, actually, we got a bonus question. Sweet, we got 3 minutes. So I was recently talking with Steph and also various other marketers and noticing a trend that a lot of customers for dispensaries, consumers, are starting to value the branding, and specifically brands that are products as opposed to dispensary brands. What have you noticed this, and what would you say?
Yeah, so they're going in for a particular product because the brand is doing the advertising. And what a great way to partner with a brand to start highlighting that particular product. So if you see that customers are coming in for Wild gummies all the time, go to Wild and say, hey, a good portion of our customer base loves your gummies. Are you willing to host an event, partner with us, do a discount, do, like I said, a wake and bake or a concert series or something like that, or giveaways, thinking outside the box.
Yeah, really great talking with you, hearing from you. Thank you for your insights.
Moving
you. On to our last guest here. It looks like we'll have some extra time at the end here. Wow. I'm going to go ahead and introduce her. This is Steph Vrona. She's the founder of HighDef Studios. She's going to be talking with us about how we can optimize our dispensary operations for our loyalty programs. And so my first question for you, Steph, what operational improvements can directly impact customer retention? 15 minutes.
I love this question. It's my number one answer. Train your budtenders. Train your budtenders on customer interactions, talking points for long-term benefits of shopping with your dispensary. It should almost be a reverse engineering of training your budtenders in the way that you really, what Lisa and Sandra said, how you want your customers to feel. If you're coming in and you don't know where to look, or you're used to looking in one direction because that's where budtenders are, your customers don't know that. You should look at that operational efficiency in a way like, how can I say everything that I need to say to an end consumer when they walk in without saying anything? Even things as small as, I know both Lisa and Sandra touched on, knowing their names. I know that can be difficult. We all smoke a lot of weed. I know your face. Sometimes your name just escapes me, and I'm sorry, it's a me problem. But greet them when they come in. Instead of like some gruff security guard, like, give me your ID, what do you want? That's not a great experience. I don't want to feel like I'm doing something wrong walking into a dispo trying to buy cannabis. And that's a lot of dispensaries still in the country. It's like walking through a jail cell. You're isolated and you don't get to look at anything and you can't see anything. Streamlining your inventory management is also a really big one for retention. If customers are used to purchasing something through your online menu or Leafly and they show up and it's not there, negative experience, they're probably not going to try to buy that from you too many times more. And coaching budtenders on those upsells as well. So if you notice, and I think one of the ladies also talked about it, people that typically buy flour also buy edibles. Make sure you have those talking points ready for your budtenders for that gentle upselling when they see someone buying edibles or flour. Reducing checkout times. One of the main things I recommend for dispensaries for long-term retention is having an option for people that don't want to talk to you. I know we put a lot of stock in having those great relationships. I am one of those people. I want to place my order online, go to a window, pick it up, and leave because I know what I want. I still tip my bartender. But having like a fast pickup window or curbside or something that caters to people that are busy, don't have time to sit in your dispensary for 15 minutes and have a conversation.
Yeah. It looks like we're going to be good on time here, Steph. So I actually have a question for you specifically regarding the topic of upsells, and so specifically how dispensaries can make sure that their bud tenders, who are not expert salesmen, they do not know what they're doing, how can they raise the total cart size? What are some quick hacks that you would implement?
My favorite one are impulse buys. So every single person that walks out of your dispensary that purchases flower, for example, should have an upsell tied to that, like an impulse buy. Do you need a lighter? Do you need matches? We coach our bud tenders, the transaction's not over until you've asked at least one of those impulse buy questions. Or like even chit-chatting with your customer, your patron, and it's like, hey, what are you doing this weekend? It's like, oh, I'm going to like a football game. Hey, we have some actually really great lollipop edibles that are super discreet if you wanted to medicate while you were going to the football game. There's so many ways that you can do that. And it's dependent on, it's same thing with impulse buy, but dependent on your market, is having a little case of material next to you, whether it's medicated product or pipes and paraphernalia type items, but having something eye line with the customer, very easy. If you see them glance at it, talk about it.
Yeah, I love that. You find out what they're doing, what they're about to do, what they're currently planning, then you sell it to them. Sell them what they're doing. Let's go to the next question here. How can technology, specifically maybe some specific tools, how can it streamline the customer experience in dispensary operations?
I'm totally stealing Sandra's answer. AI. It's the predictive modeling. Yes, 100%. Preemptive marketing. Yes, 100%. Could you imagine if you just talked about a cannabis brand and you started getting push notifications from your dispo? Creepy, but I would love that as a marketer. Like they can do it with umbrellas. Why can't I do it with edibles? Tools like Triply or Strain Brain, or I know there's like another one out there. All of those are amazing tools that sit right on top of your tech stack on your website. Patrons that are confident about the purchases they're making and less trial and error are more likely to buy more, spend more, come back to you more, take your recommendations more. That's all very important. And I feel like there has been a total erosion of trust between patron and dispensary in the last few years with all these markets going rec. I understand people didn't want education, kind of necessary if you're going to have bigger baskets. Distillate can only get you so far. You're shooting their endocannabinoid systems. They're going to need more product for it to work anyway. It's just kind of confused why we even got to this point in the first place. But mobile ordering. And it's really not just having a great menu on desktop, but digging into your Google Analytics data. What devices are people shopping on more? If 60% of your traffic is on mobile and your experience sucks on mobile, you got to fix that. If you're really pushing for your app and you don't want people going to your website and you want them using the app, that menu experience better be amazing. People aren't going to waste their time getting through a clunky menu. They're just not going to do it these days. Gosh, what else? Definitely your comms platforms, multiple touch points all throughout your customer lifecycle journey, multiple touch points. Exactly what Sandra said. I need to talk to you more about that 19-point touch system you got going on, because mine taps out at like 6.
Yeah, 19 is pretty incredible.
I'm impressed.
Yeah, right. Steph, what do you think about? I'm sorry for cutting you off. I'm just trying to keep this going here. You're talking about AI, and so as we've all noticed, the AI chatbot thing. What do you think about how it's going to play in the role of operations, specifically, the customers? Maybe some of them are just sick of these AI chatbots. Maybe some of them love it. What do you think is going to be the future of AI, specifically for customer service operations?
I'll be honest, I'm not really a huge fan of the chatbots. The one AI tool that is my favorite, full disclosure, I do work with them because I love them so much, is Triply. It is product recommendation. It's building that trust with the end consumer that you're not just trying to shill to them. And there's a lot of tools out there that will just push the most expensive version or a specific brand or whatever has the most inventory and they need to get rid of. As an end consumer, I don't like being sold to that way. So I love AI tools that don't sell it that way. I think there is value in your bud tender experience, and you should not be trying to replace your bud tender experience, that conversation, with a chatbot, but having tools that can contribute to that conversation. Your bud tender doesn't know everything, and it does depend on the dispo, how much cannabis education they have, and then it is individual to them and somewhat nuanced. So it's kind of anecdotal, the advice that you're getting, but if you're using tech with it and you have terpene profiles and customer recommendations that have something similar for the effects that you want, it's just better. It's just a better experience. I'm all for integrating AI, because unless business owners are going to start training again on education and educating their bud tenders to educate their end consumers, tech is the only way we're going to get that education through.
Yeah, I think, Steph, you have to have this combination of both, like you touched on, because tech is going to give you all the information and the knowledge, but then how can you use your bud tender for that personalization? I mean, if we think about it, as more and more states legalize and or turn rec, you're going to have first-time consumers coming in by the droves who are going to be intimidated, who aren't going to know what to purchase. You might have smoked pot in 1970 and haven't smoked since, and they don't know what's available to them. And so you're going to need that consumer education, but utilizing AI tools to help inform your bud tenders.
Absolutely. And it's, yeah, they're going to pick up the cheapest thing on the shelf. Going to be a distillate cart, probably not going to have a great time.
Yeah. Well,
And to that point
go ahead.
balance, to the point of the balance, I think it needs to be done really carefully of tech in dispensaries. I wrote about this. Some states rely heavily on kiosks in their dispensaries. I am not a fan. I went to quite a few, and if I was first of all, I'm in another state where I don't know those brands anyway, or some of those product forms. So, and now you're putting me in front of a kiosk to make a choice about things that I don't even know what I'm choosing. And at that point, the bud tender is a glorified cashier. I mean, and it's after the fact. Like, I've had to actually already place my order. I had to make those decisions on my own. So when you talk about welcoming in new people to cannabis or Canna Curious or whatever, I think that tech can be a real barrier to people. And so I just think it needs to be done carefully. I think there's a place for it. People like Steph that, like, they want to be in and out. They know what they want. They don't need to chit chat. Tech needs to be an option for those folks, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
No.
But I'm just not sure it needs to be front and center, right? Like, if you're a regular, you know that this is the place where you can go to place your order, versus it being, in the center of the dispensary and it funnels everyone to it. I just think it needs to be done thoughtfully and carefully. And I've seen that in some states they've missed the mark with that. And I feel like they're almost cutting themselves off from bringing people in that are concerned about shopping in a dispensary for whatever reason.
Absolutely. Yeah, I've had those experiences, and I agree. I saw your post and I was like, who on earth is making the kiosk the front and center first experience for any consumer? Like, I shop online and I don't want to talk to you because I know what I'm doing. But if I'm in a state and I don't know, that's my first question. Can I talk to someone? And if my bud tender tells me that they don't consume the same kind of products I do, like hash rosins, do you have a bud tender that's working today that does? Because that's a lot of money to just guess.
Yeah.
Well, that's where, like, having a really good trained AI bud tender comes into play, as if they know all these buzzwords and they have quote unquote experience, their training data to really chime in. I've got one more question for you, Steph, to kind of move things forward here. What metrics should dispensaries track to optimize their customer life cycle management?
Same thing. My favorite metric, and I'm gonna stand on my business here. I don't care about your click-through rates. I don't care. I want the click visit rate. It's amazing that you're opening our messages. Great, gold star for you. Did my message incite action? If it didn't, then I need to go back to the drawing board and figure out what is going to get you to come in and say hello to me. Of course, the normal ones, signups, redemptions, reward earned. I'm not sure if every loyalty platform offers it. One of them does, though. They'll give you market data, and you get some averages or medians of where your market generally sits. And I do pay attention to those metrics. Some of them you don't want to be too high or too below what your market median is. Some of them, yeah, you want to blow it out of the water, and that's okay. And it's great. Oh, God, it's a great feeling to show that to the board. But then they're like, well, we want more. And I'm like, I'm 400% above where everyone else is. What more could you want? Customer lifetime value is also a really big metric that I like to track. Harder to track depending on the dispensary, because everyone has a different metric for like what is a lifetime or a life cycle for a customer. I do that math manually. I pull every single customer purchase and the first versus last purchase date, throw that in a spreadsheet, run a formula, and I'll figure it out. I don't like this answer, but average order value and purchase frequency. I'm a firm believer that AOV is not marketing's responsibility. My job is to get them to come into the dispensary. Your retail team's job is to close that sale. I can help, though, by not giving 65% off the store and making your budtender's job harder. I can do that. Purchase frequency is also really important to me. I use it as a behavioral trigger metric, like in my segmentation and my automations that go out. If you shop on average 3 times a month, I want to figure out how to get you to come in 4 times. Shop 2, how do I get you to come in 3?
Yeah.
Those are my main ones.
Yeah, no, it's perfect. We're actually doing great on time here. And so let's actually just go ahead and move forward here.
Fast.
So thank you. I think we could kind of go into bigger rabbit holes for each of these questions and with each of you ladies. So thank you for sharing just a little bit of your knowledge with us. And so it's highly appreciated. I'm sure somebody listening will get some sales out of this and some value out of this. So thank you to each of you. I wanted to kind of bring this back full circle by highlighting each of you one more time. And so with about 3 minutes of time for each of you, let's start with the end and go to the top. So let's start back with Steph here. If we could just talk about what you do, who you are, your company, as we put it, your elevator pitch, but maybe a little bit longer, 3 minutes. Go ahead.
Yeah. Oh, geez. So I'm still working on my elevator pitch. I've worked corporate my entire life, and I am just starting my 2nd year of business. So needless to say, I'm bad at a lot of things, but I'm going to get better. Talk to me again in 2 years. I'm going to be a pro at this. I will be on the level of Sandra and Lisa. Sort of like, oh my God, I've never done this. No, I'm just kidding. I mean, Lifecycle and retention marketing, I noticed through my 8 years in cannabis now that no one talks about, everyone just wants new customers. And I'm frankly sick of listening to CEOs tell me that they need new customers when you don't take care of the customers that you have now. So it just kind of seemed like a natural transition into it. I kind of just decided one day, I'm like, you know what? I'm tired of you telling me that. We're going to do retention marketing. And I sat down for 2 weeks and I wrote down every single thing that I know. I built a foundation and I've been tweaking that for the last year. All that being said, marketing operations is where I really shine. Your retention program is more than just your loyalty and your comms and your deals. It also, you need to have marketing and retail and finance all on the same page. You need to have compliance in the loop. You need to make sure that your deals aren't conflicting. If marketing's running something and retail wants to run something else, that's not going to work. It has to be one promo calendar. So that's where I feel like I bring a lot of the value into the dispo. I will go and bring your 4 departments together and we'll make sure everybody's on the same page and happy before we do anything. And then everyone's happy because everyone's on the same page.
Well, thank you, Steph. Definitely check her out. It's HighDef Studios. I'll leave the information for your website and your LinkedIn profile in the description. Let's go with our second person. Let's go back to Lisa. Do you want to go ahead and talk about yourself for 3 minutes?
Yeah. So the TOKE Agency focuses on some of what Steph touched on: retention, marketing, loyalty. Building that brand and that strategy is also where I think we shine. You know, one of the first things that we do with our clients is we really dive deep into understanding what their mission, their purpose, their value, how they want their customers to feel. We try to build that into our strategy so that when we are creating the comms and the social and all the posts and doing all of the scheduling and the marketing, we're using their tone, their voice, and we're talking to their customers how they want to be heard. So I think what we do a little different is we come at it from a strategy, from a brand strategy. And then also just building that loyalty, creating a lot of the win back campaigns and, we don't use 19 like Sandra does, but, creating those touch points and building out that buyer journey, I think is so important. So, here's your first touch point, and, when do you send another message and how often, and is it a birthday? Is it bring a friend? Is it a win back? Like, what are all the touch points? And you just build out that buyer journey. And Samuel, I also want to say, Steph and Sandra and I could be considered competition with each other, but we also collaborate on so many levels. We encourage each other on LinkedIn through our posts and through commenting. Sandra and I have actually referred business back and forth to each other. So I want to point that out, that it's not competition between any of the three of us. It's really collaboration.
Yeah. I think that's awesome. I think that's really how you should be looking at competition. I plan to have an SEO panel here, and I offer websites and SEO. So, really at the end of the day, if we collaborate and view each other positively, it's only going to help our customers and our clients. Really, at the end of the day, so 100% agreed there. Let's go ahead and come full circle with Sandra. Sandra, you have 3 minutes to discuss who you are, what you do, all that.
Okay. Well, and I'll probably hit a little bit on what both Steph and Lisa did, and wholeheartedly support the collaboration piece, because we all have our different lenses that we bring to the table, right? So I've been in marketing my entire career, agency, corporate, consulting, jumped into cannabis in 2019, doing retail marketing for 2 of the largest MSOs in Colorado. And when I left that world, I looked around to see what was I seeing? And I saw exactly what Steph said. And as a marketer doing retail marketing, I was guilty of this as well, always focusing on customer acquisition. And I managed the loyalty programs as part of the other retail marketing that I did at the dispensary level. So there just wasn't enough focus on retention. It's your lowest hanging fruit, your existing customers. How can we ignore that? The loyalty program was just always off on its own. You're earning points, but it wasn't really incorporated into everything that the dispensary was doing. So I saw that gap, and I saw the gap with Alpine IQ in particular. That was the system that I used. And I went very deep into that system and realized just how complex it was. And working for an MSO, I had a staff, I had resources, I had time to really dive deep into that technology. But operators, as we talked about earlier, don't have that time or that desire or the expertise. So seeing those 2 gaps in the market, the lack of retention and the lack of knowing how to use the tech, is why I started ESBE. And, we talk about collaboration. I could totally collaborate with Steph on the marketing ops piece because I did that and I don't want to do that anymore. And I would happily pull her in to help with that because I do get pulled into that a lot, and I can talk about it and I know it. I don't want to do it with the dispensaries. I really want to stay focused on the retention piece and how we drive that and go really deep in that area. And, I think I started off by saying, developing programs is something that I really enjoy. I love digging into a dispensary's data. If they have it, if they don't, if they're new, they're just getting started, then I look at the market and see what's going on and use my own judgment based on what I've seen work with other dispensary programs. So developing the programs, 9 times out of 10, there's something wrong with the basic setup of Alpine IQ. And that oftentimes is costing the dispensary money. So going in and checking all of that, even if they've been using Alpine IQ for a couple years, that can be a valuable exercise to go through and have that audit. And then the Lifecycle marketing, right? That's my sweet spot. That's what I really enjoy doing. And again, being able to pull in Lisa on helping understand and develop a brand, because oftentimes the dispensaries don't have that sense of self really yet. So that can be a really helpful exercise to do. So just through this, I'm seeing like a really great offering we could have for a dispensary, utilizing all of our expertise and the lens that we bring to the table.
Yeah, this was really a really great discussion. I learned something from each of you today. Thank all of you for just being on here, sharing just a little bit of your knowledge. We got 7 minutes. Let's do one little fun question to kind of wrap this up. Lisa, how do you get high? What's your favorite preferred method of getting high?
So I really,
yes, Lisa,
with vaginal suppositories. How's that for an answer?
That's not what I expected. Yeah, good.
I don't consume a whole lot. When I first went to Benzinga last year, Breeze was there with cannabis infused beverages. That was like really my first time actually consuming cannabis since I was in college, to be honest. So it might be an infused beverage on a rare occasion. But yeah, I'm going to go back to my vaginal suppositories.
Sandra, how do you get high?
I love flower. That's my preferred. And I love vaping flower. So, I have my packs and grind up some fresh flower and put it in there. I love it because I can taste it. I know joints are so convenient, but to me, they just taste like an ashtray. That's why I love vaping my flower.
What about you, Steph? How do you get high?
So typically live hash rosin. Not a lot of quality in the market that I'm in. So vaping flower has kind of been my go-to. And plus it's just like a lot cheaper instead of buying very overpriced live hash rosin. But if given the choice, I dab. I'm a dabber.
Yeah,
work hard, play hard.
Yeah, there you go.
How about you, Samuel?
I'm an oil guy. I learned how to make my own oils. Trying to save my lungs a little bit, but maybe also at the same time hurting my heart, or I don't know. But
I'm sorry. Wait, we have 5 minutes. What do you mean make your own?
So I take flour. I'll put that in the oven for 8 minutes at 140 degrees Celsius. Take it out when it's, decarboxylated or whatever the word is. Put that in oil. This time I made it with coconut oil. And then you just, once it's done, usually about a cup of flour for about a cup of oil. And then once it's done, just about a little less than a teaspoon, and you're good for the whole night. Saves your lungs, but maybe also isn't really super good for your heart and cardiovascular system. But we're all gonna die anyway, right? We're gonna die somehow. It could be from your lungs, it could be from your heart, it could be from whatever. Go ahead, Lisa.
I love that you make your own oil because I make a salve myself. Like I'll order cannabinoids and then I had some infused olive oil and I made it all together and made a salve. So I love that you're making your own oil because I use it topically all the time.
There you go.
And so, Samuel, do you just take a teaspoon of oil?
Yeah, usually just
eat it.
If you take more than a teaspoon, in my experience, it could be really intense, and I don't really like getting super high. Just to relax a little bit. So teaspoon's like the max. If it's about 1 cup of flour, 1 cup of oil, that recipe. Maybe we can have another call and talk about that another time about how we can make
I
our
love
own
that.
oils.
I used to make my own capsules. I stopped infusing after I made a green dragon tincture where you do frozen cannabis with Everclear. I just wanted to make infused Bloody Marys. I just didn't want to drink. And I forgot my dropper and I brought it to a birthday party and I was like, okay, let's Google it. And it said like a teaspoon. So I used like a table, like a teaspoon because Google said that's not the teaspoon they meant. Not a great experience. Don't do that.
Well, once you said Everclear, I was like, okay, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, it's intense.
I was like thinking
That's
of my
intense
college
I just wanted
university
an
days.
infused Bloody Mary, guys. That's it. I just wanted to like put pickle with the tomato juice and some spice and just get high.
All right. Well, it's been really great talking with you, ladies. Thank you so much for coming on. We're going to go ahead and wrap this up here, but I want to kind of wrap this up by wishing you all the best. Happy New Year. You know, it's almost February now, but wish you ladies all the success in the world this year, and excited to hear more from you.
Thank you
Thank
so
you,
much.
Samuel.
Guys,
Appreciate it. Thank you, ladies.
Free cannabis queens with swagger so bold. Their business strategies are worth more than gold. Lisa's got logos that make clients go wow. Sandra's compliant, smoother than a legal vow. Steph crunches did it like a tech-savvy queen, making a lot